which is followed by participant voting round, where everyone in DigixDAO can vote. Now, only after this participant voting round, the funding for the first milestone will be released. Let's say milestone 1 is done, there will be another voting round to basically review the milestone 1, whether milestone 1 was well done, and whether we should give more funding for this project. So you see, if a project is malicious and they want to run away with the funds right after they getting the first funding, DigixDAO only lose the first funding, and the malicious project will lose the 2 ether collateral. So we will encourage project to set a small funding for milestone 1 so that the community can at least see some work done before deciding whether to release more funding. In this example, we have a project with 2 milestones, but we can have more milestones basically. And at the very end, after the last milestone, there will be a final voting round to decide whether to release a final reward. And this final reward is to incentivize the execution of the last milestone. Otherwise, you might realize that at the last milestone, there's no incentive to execute the project because they already get the funding. So that was the timeline of the DigixDAO project. I will move on to voting mechanics. For voting power, it's exactly the same as that. As for a vote to be passed, the majority has to vote yes, and the quorum has to be reached. A quorum is basically the minimum percentage of stake that has to participate for the vote to be valid. As can be seen on the graph, the quorum requirement is different for every type of voting round. But regardless, the quorum will increase linearly with the amount of aid being asked in the funding. More funding, more quorum. With that, let's move on to the last part, which is about Digix rewards. And the key question is basically, what determines Digix rewards? So there are a few important metrics here. First is the stake. Your Digix rewards will be more or less proportional to your stake. So the more DG you lock, the more stake you should get, and the more Digix rewards you should earn. Secondly, we will measure your level of participation in DigixDAO using 2 types of points. The first type of point is total points, and it's measure your level of participation in a given quarter. You do 1 vote, you get 1 point. You finish a milestone, you get 2 total points for every ether funding that you get. So total points will only stay in the quarter and will be reset to 0 in the next quarter. And our formula will make sure that if you have high total points, you will get some bonus in your Digix rewards. However, if you have 0 total points, meaning you don't do anything in the quarter, you will get 0 Digix reward. So you have to at least do some voting to get any rewards in DigixDAO. The second type of point is reputation points, which basically measures your level of participation over all the quarters, and it's roughly an accumulation of total points over all the quarters. It can also be lost if you are not active in the quarter. And reputation points are important because of 2 reasons. Firstly, you need a high reputation point to become a moderator. And secondly, if you have a high reputation point, you will get a little bonus in your Digix rewards. So this whole point systems was designed to incentivize active and continual participation in DigixDAO. It's also to identify the reputable participants that will eventually help shaping the important decision in DigixDAO. Now you might ask, so you guys have a lot of mechanisms, a lot of formulas, how do you set the parameters? And how do you know that the values of the parameters are ideal? Our answer is, yeah, we don't know if the current values of the parameters are ideal, but we have designed the system so that we can change all the parameters, the quorum requirement, the duration of the phases, all of them are configurable, and that we can change them using a DigixDAO special project, which can change all the configs. Yeah. So enough with explanation of DigixDAO. Let's get hands-on and see a live demo of our governance platform on the Kovan testnet. So this is how it looks like. And we will be loading our ledger wallet. There are a few options for loading the wallet, which is basically all the normal options: MetaMask, Ledger, Trezor, and JSON keystorm. After logging in, you have to sign a proof of control to prove to our server that you actually control the chest. Yeah, and you can see on the dashboard that we have our reputation point, our stake, and the total points. And if you click on the left bar, you can also see that we are a moderator. This account is a moderator. Yep, close. And let's try creating a project. Let's call this project, let's say, let's exhibition contest. We have to provide a short description as well as a long description, basically. You can also upload images. And by the way, all these details and images will be uploaded to IPFS, decentralized file storage. After this, so let's upload a teaser design. Now is the details for our milestone. Let's say I want 1 Ether for my rewards at the end of all the milestones. And for the sake of demonstration, let's just have 1 milestone asking for 1 Ether. Create now. And you can see a preview of all your details before we can submit the project. Now everything is being uploaded to IPFS. And if everything works, so we sign the transaction and it will be broadcasted to the blockchain. Now it's the usual part, we have to wait for the blockchain to says, oops.
4 seconds.
Yes, we can check our transaction history as well. So the name will just drop our transaction.
It's called the user account.
Do you want to try to create a project again, maybe?
Okay, I guess you can try to we can go on to the next part first before we can maybe go back to try creating a project again. Probably the transaction was not received on the node. So let's demonstrate the process of voting on a project. This is a project that is in a moderator voting round, and we are moderator, so we can vote. Let's say we approve this project and say yes, confirm our vote, and sign the transaction. This time, hopefully the network lasts us and process the transaction. Shall we do the scan again?
I think I've known it.
Okay, I guess either scan is not picking up or upload is not sending an introduction. But anyway, that's just focus now. But the process will be exactly like this when you want to participate in our actual mainnet launch, which hopefully will be different. Should be. So that's the end of the demo. And if you are curious, you can actually go on to our link here, which you can find on one of our media board to try on our Kovan testnet. So back to the presentation. So as for the actual mainnet launch, the start of the first quarter will be this Saturday, 30th March, 11 a.m. Singapore time. And yep, you can only go to our website and see a countdown to the launch. With that, that's the end of my presentation. So I guess Koban is not processing the session.
Thank you very much. All right, well, I'd like to bring up our esteemed panel. Come on up, everybody. Everyone please take a seat. I just give it a working show. This over there. This is new. We didn't practice this. We have a second mic, you know? Otherwise I'll pass this around. Yes. Does that mic work there? Next to the white glasses. Very good. Okay, so I guess what we're going to do here is we're going to be talking about DAOs in general, Digix included. But before we do, I want to get everyone an opportunity to tell everyone who they are, what they're working on, give them a kind of a bit of an introduction, and if you can actually throw in something else in, please tell us something interesting about you personally. Yes, all of you. I want you to tell us something interesting about you personally. So I guess I'll start. Wouldn't be there otherwise. So my name is David Waxman, and I'm the CEO of a company called Waxman, and we represent a large swath of the best companies in the blockchain space, including Digix right here, which is why I'm proudly repping a Digix shirt, which is by far the most important. So, yes, I guess that's it.
Yeah, I'm Anthony Efemio, CTO and co-founder of Digix. I'm basically responsible for all the harebrained ideas at Digix, including building the DAO. And so, interesting thing about me is I was the first ever Ethereum transaction. I don't know if that's personal enough, but I made the first ever Ethereum transaction and first pizza purchase on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain as well.
Was it $10,000 or 10,000?
It's about actually it's about $500.
Yeah. $500 pizza. Okay, that's still a very good story.
It's not 10,000.
Yeah. Actually, why don't we use this mic? See if we're
Hello everyone, my name is Anton. I'm a developer at Kyler. So I mainly work on integrations with other projects, and I work here in Singapore. One interesting about me, I guess I wanted to be a pro basketball player, but I decided to instead to give chance to others. I'm kidding. So I guess an interesting thing maybe blockchain related is I've been in this space since around 2012-ish. So I've been here for quite a while, but I've only gotten really serious into being part of this space like late 2017 or 16-ish, I think. Yeah. So,
I'm not an Uber. I joined MakerDAO like about 7-8 months back. So I started out as a crypto anarchist. I ate the banks. I don't know if anyone here is from the banks. So and so I'm actually the APAC community. I'm in charge of building communities in Southeast Asia, and I double up as a business development person as well. Not a techie. I think I'm sandwiched by 2 techies here. And I'm at the bottom of the bread. Okay, yeah. So yeah. And so MakerDAO. Who knows MakerDAO here? Okay. Okay. So for those who don't know about MakerDAO, we built a decentralized stablecoin. It's backed by digital assets, which is ETH right now. And it's not just a decentralized stablecoin. It's also a a permissionless lending protocol to allow people to take out loan against assets that we own. Yeah.
So yeah, while we're on the subject, why don't we talk about the DAOs that we have here? So the 3 different DAOs that we're discussing are in different phases of their growth and origin. And they have their own origin stories too. So why don't we go one by one right now and talk about why and when your company's and project's DAO, I should say, was created in the first place. Let me put it another way. When the project was born, did you know there'd be a DAO?
not at all. So we actually built like first the Digix Gold token, and we had a version 1 of our core marketplace product, which kind of was not successful. So we kind of thought about how do we make a better product, and the idea was to actually it wasn't to raise funds, it was to actually create a token that would be able to crowdsource ideas on how to build a good gold token using people's stake. So like we want people to contribute, people who have skin in the game to contribute ideas to build and get rewards for it. So yeah, we didn't think about a DAO for it, but we were actually one of the first DAOs to be on Ethereum.
So for Kyber, right, I really can't speak like, because I wasn't really there at the beginning of Kyber, but what I can say is that long term, right, our goal is really to have Kyber as a community-driven project. So slowly we're trying to that's why we're like doing this research and development in our own DAO, so that we essentially slowly give this governance, activities back to the community, and we can become part of the community. So yeah, so I would say like I guess what Jan said, right? We definitely like any decentralized project, we want to definitely have an entity that governs this protocol or the kind of protocol in a more decentralized way. Right?
So MakerDAO, I think, started off as a DAO, and that's also because one of the co-founders, Nikolai, he was the guy that actually managed to find the vulnerabilities in the smart contract of the DAO attack back in 2016. So and we started off as a DAO in 2017. When we first launched our beta single collateral DAI. So the DAI in the WoW right now is actually single collateral DAI backed by ETH, and so having a very transparent and also democratic voting system is very important, because we are looking for what Anton was saying, we are looking for owners or stakeholders in the Maker ecosystem to have the skin in the game to actually contribute to the long-term success of the project itself. So I guess that's how we actually started. That's how we wanted to actually start, Maker as a DAO. Yeah.
So we've got here the world's leading gold and asset-backed token. We've got perhaps the leading decentralized exchange. We've got certainly the most advanced stable coin, if we can call it that. It's a little more complicated. And all of you guys have decided to use this crazy system where people are going to vote and have a whole lot of say to participate in the future of your project. You're putting, it feels like, a lot of confidence into the hands of people you've never met and will probably never meet. So, are you concerned about that? Does that excite you? I mean, what do you see? Who do you see as the participants in this DAO? I mean, if I had to ask you, like, demographically, who are these people? Are they the people in this room? Or are they someone very different?
I think it's going to be a mix of people in this room as well as people who have ideas. So, like I said earlier, we are looking for good ideas. We're a team of 20 people, I guess. The company's 20 people. So we have really brilliant people in our team, but we don't have all the good ideas, right? So we want to crowdsource that from our community. And your second question was, are we concerned? Yes, we are. Because like these are people who are anonymous, like they're voting with a wallet, right? We don't know who they are, and we have to trust that they are looking for our best interest. And there are game theoretic models and also social models that we have to consider to make sure that this works properly and they don't game the system. Right? So that's the biggest concern that we have, and I think that our design sort of mitigates that. And in the future, we are going to improve this platform as well using this special proposal. So we can, maybe some new ideas that says, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have people proposing, and if their reputation is high enough that they can get more, they can ask for more funds from the DAO in the future. Right? So we can build that later on, right? So somebody suggested that, and we're going to try to consider that at some point in time.
So going back to the question, right? I find the whole situation quite exciting. So for Kyber, right, we're basically comprised of several stakeholders, right? So we're basically an on-chain liquidity protocol, and we're some of the stakeholders are market makers, those who have integrated the protocol, developers, users, etc. And we recognize being in the space that there's a ton of smarter people than us, and they may have a better vision of what Kyber may be. So we really want to maybe offload some of that governance decision to the wisdom of the crowds, right? For example, this really diverse market makers, they may be able to come up or propose some proposals that might make Kyber much better than what it is now. So yeah, it's definitely exciting. Of course, it's definitely an ongoing process, right? So it's not something that we take in lightly. So that's why we definitely do a lot of research and development on creating our DAO. And basically, DAOs is all about community, right? Governance is all about people, community, and technology is just one part of it. So you basically have to build this processes and mechanisms to ensure that the community does or gets the right decisions for these different proposals, and make sure that they're all incentivized, and those who are each stakeholder is properly represented, and there's no one that's disenfranchised. So yeah, I mean it's basically an exciting future for all these different projects that have or are developing a DAO, right?
So for MakerDAO, when we first launched Maker tokens, it was not, we didn't raise any funding through ICO, so it was through private sales, so friends and then investors. For example, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, and Polychain Capital. And we have very responsible stakeholders in the Maker ecosystem itself to actually make sure that they govern the system right, the stability mechanism of DAI. So, and currently, the stakeholders in the ecosystem are the risk specialists, and economists, developers, and institutional investors. So they're incentivized to make the right decisions. And for one good example is that I think a lot of people have been talking about stability fees for the past 3 months. We have been increasing stability fees from 0.5%, in a staggered manner to 7.5% today. So it was because what Anton said, it's wisdom of the crowd, and then we actually put up a governance proposal, and community actually reacted and responded to a way and say that, oh yes, this is the time to actually raise the stability fees to 7.5%, because what is happening right now in the market is that there's a market imbalance. There's an oversupply of DAI that overweighs the demands of DAI. So we have a lot of people actually creating CDP, which is in short for collateralized debt position, to take out loan and DAI. So yeah, we are depending on the community's feedbacks, and sentiments to collect to really make sure that it is the mechanism is governed right. Yeah.
Which becomes a little bit scary. Are your voters economists? Are they the best economists? We have in the United States a Federal Reserve, and I don't know if you guys know this, but they may have made a couple mistakes in history. So now you are empowering, to some extent, the crowd to make decisions that have real impact. It's both frightening and at the same time truly exciting. But